Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a good minute since I've had some car content, but today is not the day. What I'm gonna go over today is how to make some more storage in my garage so I can actually put away all my junk. So stay tuned. So for the past 2 months, I've been trying to move and get my old house ready to sell, move into this new house and close on this new house. So I haven't had time to really do any car content. Plus, I've got so much crap in my garage that I have no room to do any car projects or get my tools out or know where anything's at. So today, I'm gonna get in the process of organizing a little bit and getting rid of some of my stuff, or at least putting it away in some storage. So when I bought this house, it's got a lot of room and a lot of space for just like normal stuff like house stuff, but there wasn't much stuff for actual utility storage and part storage and just stuff that I have in my garage. My old house had a lot of above the attic storage, so I was able to put a lot of my car parts and my junk above the garage. But this house didn't have any attic storage. The only attic access I have is on the second floor of this house, and it's full of insulation, and it's fiberglass insulation, so that stuff is pretty bad if you actually touch it with your skin. I actually went up there earlier and I lifted the thing just to see what is up there, and I got some on my arm, and my arm's already itching, and my face feels like it's itching from just climbing up into that little hole and just peeking my head in. So I had to figure out some additional storage and some additional room. So what I did was I cut some holes up in my ceiling to see what was up there, and I discovered a little bit of room up there, not as much as I used to have, but it was good enough where if I cut the attic open, there's actually stuff up there, so I'll show you what I got. So if you guys tuned in for my garage floor project, you saw that I had a nice open cavernous space in here on my garage before I moved all my stuff in. Now that I've got everything in here, I've just got so much crap everywhere and it doesn't look like I have any room. So this garage has a little low ceiling right there, and then it drops or it dips up to a tall ceiling, which is right below the second floor. I can't really get to this space because there's only like 2 feet between this ceiling and the floor up top. So my only other choice was to look up above here. The third car garage is actually a little separated space. It's actually separated from the house a little bit right here by this little edge, and there's actually a retaining wall up there when I stuck my head in that little hole I cut. So I was researching some code, and anytime you get above the ceiling, you need 30 inches of height at one of the points where you actually cut the hole. I actually measured it where I cut that hole right there, and there is like 36 inches from that spot up to the roof deck, so I'm good there. The roof slopes down this way, so it actually has a little bit less on this end than it does on this end, but I want to go over here with all my storage just kind of over the third car garage. So one other thing I discovered when I was just messing around with the wall, my stairwell is right under this spot. There's literally like 60 or 70 square feet of dead space behind this wall, and I decided in the future I'm going to actually cut a hole in this wall and put a 24-inch closet door so I can actually access it in and out from here. But that's going to be for a future project, and I'll show you guys then when I do that. So initially what I was going to do, I was installing a light right here. I was replacing the old LED light that he had here that wasn't that bright. I wanted to put my own LED in, so I actually cut a hole to put an old work box right into that spot. And then I fished this wire from here all the way over there using my fish tape. That took me forever to get that to go over here. I started on this little hole and I tried to go back and just get there, and I couldn't get to it. I ended up cutting this hole to get the wire over and get some access and get my hand in there. But once I did that and I realized how much space was up there, I decided, shit, I want to cut this and just get up above the ceiling since I have a little bit of room. So that's what we're going to do today. So to get started over here, I'm about to measure maybe like 40 inches off the wall, draw a line across this way. I'm gonna cut that line first because that's gonna be between the 24-inch beams on here. So luckily there's a 24-inch framing on this. That's a more standard beam spacing for garages. I'm gonna cut that across to figure out the width. Then I'm gonna cut the long way. I decided to do just 36 inches. I don't plan to put an access ladder or anything since this is only an 8-foot ceiling. So I'm just gonna make it 36 inches. A standard opening that uses a standard ladder or built-in ladder requires 54 inches of length, and I don't want to go that far right now just because I don't think I have that much room. I just want to make it 36, see how well that works for me for my storage using a ladder, and I'll figure out if I really need to make it bigger in the future. First thing you want to do is mark how far off the wall you want to be. So from here to the wall, I think I want to be 40 inches just to get me kind of in the pathway of my door and where I'm actually coming in at. So I'm gonna mark that here, and then I'm gonna mark it in 2 locations so I could draw a nice straight line. So next one I want to do is cut this line to get to the beam. And once I get to the beam, and I'll just cut along the line. And then from there, I'm about to go to that end, measure 36 inches over, cut that across, and then just connect that line. So I was able to cut it all the way across. I marked the other end to cut it across. Once I cut that across, I just follow the line on the ends along the beam, and I'll get a nice straight line that way. So there you have it, boys, cutting a big ass 3 foot by 2 foot hole in your brand new house to get some storage. Look at down here, this is huge mess of dust and crap that I got everywhere. Hands and body are all covered in dust. So here's a piece of trim that I picked up. It's 2 pieces. These are 2 7-footers, which is probably more than enough. So before I even start though, I need to, on those ends, on the 2 sides, I need to cut a piece of 2x4 and frame that in there. I think I need 2 pieces hammered together back to back to create kind of the headers on either side of this opening. All right, so we're up in here now just to see what's up here. I wanted to measure the beams just to make sure. So we're basically almost at 22.5. It's a little short of 22.5, so it might be tight if I cut it exactly at 22.5 for these cross beams. So what I'm gonna end up doing is using 2. I'm gonna use one, basically just the main holder, and the one back behind it as a support. And then on both sides of here, I have enough room to nail. Man, up here, look at all these dang mosquitoes and bugs and stuff that end up dying up here. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and get the vacuum and clean this all up before I move forward. I did a little bit more investigation up here, and I found out right around the corner here, which is the lower part of my 2-car garage portion, is actually blocked off. So there's really no usable space over there except for that little window up here that I can maybe slip some stuff over and store over there. But other than that, there's no pass through there. This wall right here is, I think, the beginning of the 2nd floor where this red line is. And this is a little airspace or cavity in between the floors. And this is actually a duct that goes into my bottom guest bathroom, the half bath, that goes all the way over here. So there's no other exterior vent on the front of the house, so they just pulled it to the side. So I have that. I might have to relocate this higher so I can actually get some headspace if I were to get up here. I'm gonna build a floor over this, maybe put some insulation down over here and between the rafters over here before I put the wood floor down. That way I could just store stuff without worrying. The only thing is I gotta mess with this whole spaghetti string of wiring, which I've already kind of figured out what I'm gonna do. I went ahead and installed a switch box in a round spot where I could put a little screw-in bulb adapter. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna end up wiring it with one of the power wires I have over here. I gotta cut the power up here and do this with flashlights because I don't want to get shocked with any of this stuff over here. I still have a few other things like this data wire, which is for the garage door opener, which I'm probably gonna end up relocating because I'm doing a side mount, so I don't need the garage door opener over the top here. The only other wire I have to deal with is the power for the overhead right here, which I'll probably end up extending or relocating because I need to relocate it down there for the side garage door opener. I still want to have this outlet overhead in case I want to put an overhead reel, so I'll just probably extend that or have it go over the top to clear the way right here. So we have light. I moved it from that side over this side just because I had this wire and I didn't want to extend it back and forth too much. I've got it installed right there. I've got the switch right here. I just need to put the cover plate. All the wiring is done. I cleaned up all the lighting wiring and everything else. So this wire is going to go under the wood panel along with some of these other wires, and I'm going to tuck them up and down. That way they don't get in the way once I put the board. So in order to frame around the door, I had to cut 22.5-inch header beams, 4 of them. So I took a couple 2x4s, I used my little circular saw, and I had to trim it down. Right now I'm making some fine little trims to get it to fit up top, and I'll show you how they're fitting up top in a second. So in order to do the ends on here, you have to frame 2 2x4 pieces back to back. So the first piece will be at 36 inches on either side, and then you put the piece in the back, and once you do that, you put some nails on either side of this, nail it in, then you nail these in, or you screw them in that way. Usually you want to use nails because nails are designed for framing and they don't have shear breakaway like screws do. When you cut it, you want it to be kind of snug in there. You know, not too loose, not too tight. You want it just enough so you get the nails in, and then once you do that, you can square it up before you hit the final nails in. For this application, this header is not really supporting anything other than just this opening and for us to climb through and step on. If you were to cut your own and you had some middle beams or something going this way and you had to cut in between to support it, then definitely that beam with the connection to the center beam would be more important. But on this particular setup where I'm in between the 24-inch joists, it's not as important. So after a couple hours of messing around, I got this baby all framed up, got my toenails all put in on the edge here. I hit another nail this way on both of them just to make sure that everything's okay. I did the same over here, made sure that everything was nice and square on here. So it's 36 inches both directions. The only problem with this 36 inches, like I said earlier, it's not a standard size, so I can't get a attic ladder in here. If I ever wanted a real attic ladder, which I don't think I'm gonna ever invest in an attic ladder just because there's not much room up here to justify $200 attic ladder, and I won't use it as often as my old one to store big stuff. But I would have just taken it all the way to the edge here. That would have been 54 inches. So while I was up here, I finished up all the wiring relocation. So what I did was I moved all the garage door opener wiring all the way to the end down there. And also what I did was I added an outlet all the way down by the garage door at the opening so I could put my jack shaft. And then I relocated the wire coming across here. So I installed that junction box right there, so I actually split the power coming in from my GFI into that box so I could do my wire nuts. I ran the wire all the way over there for the outlet that I just added over there, and then I ran another wire to the old outlet for the garage door opener right here, so that way I have outlets on both ends. So next up, I'm gonna put some R13 insulation. I bought some that fits perfectly between these 24-inch rafters. Oh yeah, finally done with all this installation. I got it all laid out and I put the boards in, bolted everything down. I was able to fill over here. I just cut one of the rolls in half and just put it down this little strip right here. It fit perfectly in there. So now I've got everything done, but overall everything looks good. It's ready to load stuff onto here. It's a nice platform for me to walk back and forth when I need to bring stuff up and down from here. Since I'm already up here, I'm gonna go ahead and run some wiring and get all the infrastructure set up for the new lights I'm gonna be putting around the outside of the house, including some security lights. So I'll show you in a second what I've already done out there. So here outside, I started putting in some security lights right here on the corner. The only thing with this house is they didn't add any of these security lights around the corner, so I'm gonna go ahead and start doing that, as well as putting in recessed lights along the eave across the front of the house. So I'll go ahead and start with this right here. I'm gonna run the wiring and then I'm gonna work on that on probably a separate video when I do that. But for this one, what I did was I untucked the edges of that eave, took out those aluminum panels, and then I hammered in a new box so I can mount my new light there. So I'm gonna fish some power wire into here, run it, and then do some wiring and figure out the switching inside the house. So now, after we got everything cut up top and fitted, I want to be able to make the trim around the edges so I could put the board to hold the board up. So I'm going to use this miter saw. I'm going to cut at a 45-degree angle. Once I confirm it all fits, I'll tack it in and then I'll paint it, and then we'll be finished with this project. Since my opening is about 36 inches, I wanted to make that inside groove about 35 inches right here, so that way I could overhang it a little bit. So I'm gonna cut 2 pieces like this and see how it fits. Now that we tacked the 2 side pieces on and measured everything, I need to cut the end pieces, which I need the inside to be about 21 inches. That's what I measured over there. And then the outside is going to end up being what it's going to be. So this ended up being a wasted piece. I was about a 1/4 inch too short on this. So on the next piece, I'm gonna have to measure the inside and the outside to make sure I'm getting the right cut on both ends. Like I said, measure twice, cut once, instead of cut twice, measure once. So I ended up getting that perfect. I just measured it from the outside. That inside piece, that's where I screwed up. See right there? I have marked it 21, but it's more than 21. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to just make an exact copy of this for the other side, and this should fit perfectly fine now. All right, there you have it, boys. I've got the door put in there, just test fitted around the new trim. So what I have to do is just finish up that trim, all the little nail holes from this nail gun. I gotta just fill it up with some spackling. All the corners, I gotta put some caulk in there just to smooth those out and make them look better, and then paint it white along with that board. Right now I've got this really thin, flimsy piece of plywood because it's only $6. I didn't want to spend like $30 on plywood now because it's 2021 and the lumber prices are freaking ridiculous right now. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in all the way to the end of this DIY house video. I know I've been slacking a lot lately on my car content just because I've been so busy moving into this house and just getting all these house projects done and getting stuff unpacked and just getting everything situated. It's been like 2 months now and we're still just unpacking stuff. In addition to that, my work has really picked up lately and I've been traveling like almost every single week to somewhere in the United States. So just finding time to edit these videos and upload these videos and even creating these videos has been very tough for me. Trying to get these car videos done or getting all my car projects done, it's been really tough. Stick with it. Once I get all these projects done around the house, I'll start focusing more on the cars, especially the IS300 here. So I was on my way to the airport a couple weeks ago and the alternator started going out on me. So I turned around and grabbed my other car just because I didn't want to get stranded at the airport with this guy. I've got a video coming up on changing the alternator on that. Plus I've got a bunch of other videos planned for the 2IS and the Sienna that I haven't had time to get on, but eventually we'll get to it and we'll get some videos out on that. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed these house DIY videos. Remember, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.